Okay, year 8. We're now going to go on with the next bit, which is the volumes of prisms and cylinders. And we're going to do this the way that I would have liked to have done the first bit. I don't like using the formula LBH. I prefer to use the formula for all prisms, including rectangular prisms. I don't like singling it out to make it any different. So let's go back. Remember, our definition for volume is the amount of space inside a 3D shape, and we measure that space by the number of cubes that will fit in it. Now, if we're going to do prisms, we need to define what a prism is. And prism is a 3D shape that has a polygon cross-section. Now, that word polygon is very important, and let's examine what that means, but first we better define what a polygon is. And a polygon is a closed 2D shape with straight sides. There's probably a more formal definition, but that's the way I want you to think about it, because it helps when you are defining what a prism is. So, a prism, therefore, is any shape that you can slice and get the same thing again and again and again. So, if you think of a packet of Toblerone, chocolate, and if you slice that along here, as you do when you open the Toblerone, you get a cross-section, and that's what that is, of a triangle. All right, so that is a prism. If you had a box of tissues, so a standard box of tissues. Now this has 3 cross-sections, so you can slice it this way, and you'll get, if you cut down that line, you'll get squares. Or you can slice it this way, right? So if you cut it down there, you'd get a rectangle if you cut it down there. They're still polygons though, if you cut them that way. So that is a prism as well. Let's have an example of something that isn't a prism. So let's have a look at a pyramid. Now you can't slice this and get the same shape every time. So if you slice it here, you cut off the top and cut off the top, and this is a square-based pyramid, you're going to get a square, but every square will be a bigger or smaller square, and you can't slice it any other way. So a prism, you have to be able to cut it and get the same cross-section every time. Now, there's a really good widget on Hot Maths that explains why the volume of any prism, actually I better write this, so write this down and we're going to look at the widget. So the volume of a prism, any prism, equals, I'll just create some space here, come on, give me my rubber. Volume of any prism is the area of the cross-section times the height. Now, that sometimes will not be up, it'll be back. You can also consider it to be the depth of the prism or how many slices. So, essentially we just write V equals AH, and we know what those mean, and you can just solve any of these questions. Now, this is where this widget here. So let's take a triangular prism. There it is. Now, if we cut that into layers, there you go. You can see there are 6 slices. But if we use the area formula for this, we just find the area of the cross-section, 8, and we know that it goes back 6. So it's just 8 times 6. Let's try this one, which is a prism. Let's do layers. Okay, so we find how many volumes in that layer, and we count how many would there be? 5. And we get 8 times 5 is 40. But if we use the area formula, and this is why it works, so we just say, well, what's the area of the front face? It's 8, and it goes back 5. Let's try the last one. Okay, so this has a regular cross-section. Let's have a look at the layers. There's the top layer, and there are 2 of them. So we get 26. Now if I use area, I just look at the polygon cross-section, get 13, and how deep is it, or what's the height? 2. So that's a really good way of doing it. Once you know that, you're away. So let's have a look at some of the questions. Now, we only have to do questions 1, 2A, 4A, 2AB, 4AC. So 1, state whether or not it's a prism. Well, you should be able to do that. Remember, you've got to be able to get the same shape every time. So you have a go at it. State whether it's a prism or not. Okay, hopefully you've had a go at it. You pause the video. This is a prism. This is a prism. This is not a prism. This is not a prism. This is a prism. And this is not a prism. It looks like one, but it isn't. Now, part 2. What about the cross section? There's only 3 that are prisms. So the cross section of this, well, you can use the bottom, but it's a rectangle. And you could have used this one as well. It's still a rectangle. Or indeed, you could have used this one. So the cross section of that is a rectangle. This one, however, you can only slice it this way. So its cross section is a triangle. I would accept 2 answers for this because this one has a square cross section if you cut it that way, but it has a rectangular cross section if you cut it that way, or a rectangle cross section if you cut it that way. So it has 3 cross sections. Now, okay, find the volume of these shapes. Now, you're only meant to do A and B. Now, they're lucky. They've already given you the area. So for question 2A, these are really easy. 2A, volume equals A times H. The area is 8 and the height is 2. So it's 8 times 2 is 16. And remember, we're using cubic units, so centimetres cubed. All right? I'll let you do B. 4. Now, if I look at 4, they've given me the same ones again. Now, you've got to do A and C. You should be able to do them. You should be able to do them. We're only doing A and C. So here's 4A. I'll let you do 4A. I'm going to do 4C. Volume equals AH. The area, they give it to me, is 32. And the height is 11. I'm going to use my calculator for this one. 32 times 11, 352. What units are we in? Millimetre cubes. Now, these are the hard ones. because to do these, you've got to find the area of the cross-section. So there are a couple of hard ones in here. So I'm going to shade the cross-section for you. There's your cross-section. This one, there's your cross-section. It's actually a triangle. There's your cross-section. Here, there's your cross-section. Here, there's your cross-section. And here, there is your cross-section. So let's do the first one. Well, no, I'll let you do the first one. I'm going to do B. So if I do 5B, now the cross-section is on the top. Don't let it confuse you. That's the way you've got to slice it. So I have to find the area of that. So my volume equals AH. Now what's the area? It's a triangle. So it's a half BH. And I'm going to use a capital H for my volume formula here. I'm going to use a little h there. So what's the base of that triangle? The base of that triangle is this line along here. So it's 5. And what's the height of that triangle? Well, the height of that triangle is here, and it's 2. So half of 5 times 2. Now that's the area. That is the area. Why is it not red? Come on, get here. That is the area. The height of the prism, and they've actually done it this way, is this 3 here. So times by 3. Now I do that on my calculator, but I can do that quickly in my head, and that's going to be 15. And what units have we got? Meters cubed. I'm just going to double check 5B. And it is 15 meters cubed. Okay. So you should be right in doing A and C. I think, and even here, D you should be okay. I think you're going to have trouble with E, because I have to find the area of that, and it's a strange shape. So I'm going to do E, and then I'll let you have a go at the other ones. So 5E. Now 5E, remember, volume equals AH. I'm going to use a capital H because there's going to be another H in one of my formulas here. So I have to find the area of this shape there. Now, what is it? It's a trapezium. Now, the formula for the volume of a trapezium is a half little h, A plus B. And you should have done that last. And then I've got this, I'm going to use red so we know what we're talking about, the big H. Okay. So now we're back to black. So what is it? Well, now I'm just concentrating on the area of this shape here. It is a trapezium. So it's a half the height. Well, the height of that trapezium is 3. So it's a half times 3. And A and B are the parallel sides of that trapezium. So the parallel sides of the trapezium, this one and this one, are 4 and 11. So I've got a half times 3, and I've got 4 plus 11. Now I've got the area of that polygon cross-section. I just have to go, well, how many slices am I going to get? And my slices are going to go back here. I'm going to have 12. So that's my height, 12. And I do this on my calculator. So, oops. I'm going to turn my stat off. And I've got, oops, come on. I've got a half times 3 times bracket 4 plus 11, close the bracket, times 12, 270. And my units, millimeter cubes. I'll just check the answer. So that's 5E, on my right. So that's all you have to do at this stage. I think you're going to have, now some of these are hard, I think you're going to have trouble, or you might not, with F. Please realise that the cross section is on top, and again, it's a trapezium. Anyway, good luck with those.